Have you ever wondered what you would do if, after losing the love of your life, you found a letter that changed everything you knew about them? This is Megan's story, a woman who, after Zachary's death, tries to move on. But fate has other plans for her. When Megan finds a letter hidden between the pages of an old book, one she never knew existed, her life turns upside down. What she discovers is a secret so deep that not even their love could bear it. Zachary made a decision without telling her, but why did he do that? What else did he hide? Now, Megan must decide whether to move forward as he asked, or to revive a love that could destroy the peace she has finally found. Get ready for a story of secrets, revelations, and impossible choices, because sometimes, what we desire the most may be what destroys us, or sets us free. The rain softly fell over the city of Seattle, painting the streets a deep gray that seemed to reflect Megan's state of mind. She walked with hunched shoulders, her coat tightly wrapped around her as if trying to protect her broken heart from the outside world. Seattle had always had that melancholic weather, but today, more than ever, Megan felt like the weather mirrored her loneliness. After Zachary's death, the city no longer seemed to have the same color. The Old Pages bookstore was a special place for Megan and Zachary. Every shelf, every corner of the used bookshop held a piece of them, a memory that Megan couldn't erase. She automatically headed to the classics section, where she would spend hours with Zachary, discussing the plots of books, sharing dreams and desires. Now those books seemed like relics of what once was, lifeless, devoid of love. Megan slowly ran her fingers over the spines of the books in a way that seemed almost ritualistic. Each book seemed to speak to her, but none of them held the answer she was desperately seeking. She stopped in front of a particular volume. She didn't know why, but something about that book made her feel an instant connection. The title, The Last Sigh of Love, glowed with a strange sense of urgency. She pulled the book from the shelf, and as she flipped through its pages, something fell to the floor. It was a letter. Megan quickly picked it up, the yellowed paper in her hands. Seeing Zachary's handwriting, her heart skipped a beat. The letter was folded carefully, as if he knew she would one day find it. Anxiety consumed her. With trembling hands, Megan unfolded the letter, and Zachary's words began to take shape in her mind. Megan was in shock. The words she was reading seemed unreal. Zachary spoke about the love he felt for her, about how he loved her more than anything, but there was something he could no longer hide. He confessed that, despite loving her, he had made a difficult decision, something he believed was best for both of them, but that she would never know. He apologized for not telling her the truth, but he felt that revealing the secret would destroy the life they had built together. His words were clear and painful, and Megan felt the weight of each one, as if she were being crushed by an unknown truth. She continued reading, and at the end of the letter, he made one final request: move on. Don't cling to the past. I love you, but you deserve more than I could give you. Megan stood still, the letter still in her hands. What did he mean by that? How could she move on when he still occupied every piece of her heart? How could she simply forget the love of her life, especially when he left her with more questions than answers? Zachary's request sounded so final, but at the same time, so desperate. He didn't want her to suffer, but that's exactly what he had caused: a deep hole in her chest, a sense of loss that would never be filled. With a heavy heart, Megan closed her eyes and tried to remember what it was like to be with Zachary. They were inseparable, sharing laughter, secrets, and promises of a future together. How could he have kept something like this from her? What did he believe she couldn't handle the truth? Megan knew she needed answers. But would she have the courage to seek the truth? And what would she do with those answers if she found them? Back in her Portland apartment, Megan sat on the couch, still holding the letter in her hands. The house felt empty, as if Zachary's presence had dissipated with his death, leaving only the memories of a love that no longer existed. Megan got lost in the details of the letter, rereading each word, trying to understand what Zachary was trying to say. Each time she read it, more questions arose. What had he done? What was he hiding? She couldn't leave this behind. Zachary's secret consumed her. Megan knew that, no matter how much he had asked her to move on, she needed to understand what had really happened. She knew it would lead her to painful places, but she couldn't live with the weight of doubt. Zachary's past was mysteriously tied to her present, and she had to uncover the truth. In the following days, Megan searched the apartment, looking for any clue Zachary might have left behind. She opened old boxes, flipped through papers, and searched every corner, as if each object held the key to unlocking what he had never told her. But no matter how much she searched, nothing seemed to fit. He had been so careful in hiding his secrets. Then, on a shelf in the closet, Megan found something that made her pause for a moment: Zachary's travel journal. It was a small leather-bound notebook, filled with notes, maps, and photos of places he had visited before he met her. But one page in particular caught her attention. It was marked, with a photo of her and Zachary taken on a trip to Los Angeles. Turning the page, she found a passage about a trip he took alone, without her, that she had never known about. What was he hiding? What didn't he want her to know? Megan didn't know, but she knew the answer was somewhere. She couldn't ignore it. She had to discover the truth, even if it meant reliving memories she would rather leave buried. Megan knew that the answer to the mystery was beyond what she had already found. If Zachary had made an important decision without telling her, perhaps it was necessary to return to the place where he had spent much of his youth. Los Angeles was where everything had started for Zachary. The city, with its frantic pace and secrets buried in the sidewalks, seemed like the perfect place to uncover the answer she had been searching for. She flew to the city and headed to the neighborhood where Zachary had lived before moving to Portland. Megan felt a lump in her throat as she walked the streets Zachary used to walk. Every corner seemed heavy with memories, and the shadows of the past seemed to trail behind her with each step. She visited the same cafes, shops, and places they had explored together, but now everything seemed empty, lifeless. As she walked through the neighborhood, Megan encountered a woman named Jenna, who recognized her from her previous visits with Zachary. Jenna had been a close friend of his during the time he lived in Los Angeles, and with some hesitation, she agreed to talk. What she revealed to Megan, however, changed everything. Jenna spoke about a time when Zachary withdrew, something he had never told anyone, not even her. "He always worried about you, Megan," Jenna said with a sad expression. But there was something more, something he felt he needed to resolve on his own. He never fully explained what happened. "I think he was trying to protect himself, but also you." Megan didn't know what to think. She was more lost than ever, but the feeling that there was something bigger, something hidden, only grew stronger. She felt that the truth was there within reach, but she needed to continue her search. The sun shone brightly in San Francisco, but Megan was immersed in a whirlwind of emotions. She knew that the next step in her search would lead her to an old safe in one of Zachary's apartments, which he had always kept locked, a true box of secrets. Megan didn't know what to expect, but her heart pounded in anticipation of the revelation. When she opened the safe, Megan found a letter and a series of documents that Zachary had kept. The letter was addressed to himself, as if it were an emotional testament, and what she read there made her stomach turn. Zachary revealed a grave mistake he had made during a business trip. He had been involved in something he didn't want anyone to know about, something that, according to him, was the reason for his premature death. Megan couldn't process everything that was before her. Zachary had made a dangerous decision, something that would affect not only his life but hers as well. He confessed that the reason he had withdrawn, and later the reason he died, was directly related to this mistake. But the most devastating part was what he wrote at the end: "I can't live with this, but you deserve the truth. Move on, Megan. I will always love you, but you need to be free of me." Megan sat on the floor, the letter in her hands, feeling the weight of Zachary's words crushing her chest. She now knew the truth, but what was she supposed to do with it? With the answers finally revealed, Megan knew she could no longer ignore what was in front of her. She returned to Seattle, to the place where everything began with Zachary, and went to the spot where they used to meet to talk and make plans for the future. The sound of the sea, the soft breeze, and the gray sky were now just a backdrop of pain, a reminder of what she had lost. Megan sat at the edge of the dock, staring at the horizon. She knew she needed to do something with the information she had discovered, but she still didn't know what. Reviving the past could mean destruction, but moving on without asking more questions felt impossible. She felt that somehow Zachary was still there, beside her, asking her to make a decision. But which decision would be the right one? She knew that more than ever, she had to confront what Zachary had hidden. The truth couldn't be ignored. Zachary's past was intertwined with hers, and she couldn't move on without understanding the full scope of what he had lived. Megan made a promise to herself. She would find a way to understand everything that happened, even if it meant reliving the pains of the past. Megan traveled to New York, where she found one last letter hidden among Zachary's books. This time, the letter was different, more personal. It was written months before his death, and in it, he revealed a much deeper secret. He confessed that his death had not been an accident, but rather a consequence of a risky decision he had made. Something he thought he could redeem, but that ended up destroying him. The truth that Megan uncovered was heavier than she had ever imagined. Zachary had been involved in something dark, something he felt was inevitable, but knew would destroy him. He loved her deeply, but didn't think he could give her the future she deserved, so he made a wrong choice, believing she would be protected from the weight he carried. The pain of knowing this made Megan question everything. Zachary's death wasn't an accident. He had sacrificed himself for something she had never known. And that left her with a dilemma. Should she try to understand this choice, or should she leave behind everything she had learned? Megan returned to Seattle after her trip to New York. The days passed slowly, and the city, usually vibrant, seemed shrouded in a fog of uncertainty. She walked along the waterfront, the cold wind brushing against her face, but even that couldn't relieve the weight she felt in her chest. The truth she had discovered about Zachary was more than she had ever imagined she could bear, but at the same time, she knew she needed to take a step forward. No matter how deep the pain was, she could not continue to live in the shadow of a love that no longer existed. The last days in New York had been a storm of emotions. She now knew that Zachary didn't sacrifice himself for her or for his own happiness. He sacrificed himself for a mistake he believed would destroy her. He tried to distance himself, thinking he was protecting Megan from the pain and the truth. But what he didn't know was that silence and secrets became the heaviest burden. Zachary's choice, though made with good intentions, caused more suffering than he could have imagined. Megan didn't know whether to feel anger or sadness. He had been the love of her life, but the love she had for him was now tainted with pain and a deep sense of betrayal. She felt as if the love they shared had been a lie, or worse, an illusion built on secrets she could never have understood. She looked up at the gray Seattle sky, feeling lost once again, not knowing what decision to make. Was it possible to move on, to rebuild her life? Or would it be better to leave Zachary's feelings in the past, as he had asked? Deep down, Megan knew the answer was inside her, but she wasn't ready to accept it. She needed more time to process everything that had happened. She sat by the water's edge and closed her eyes, allowing herself to feel the cool breeze and the sound of the waves. She needed to reconnect with the Megan who existed before Zachary, the woman who was strong enough to walk alone, without depending on a love that had destroyed her. After days of reflection, Megan finally realized something she had neglected. Zachary's love, no matter how intense and true, could no longer define her life. He had loved her, but he had also left her with an unbearable emotional burden, a secret he thought would be easier to carry than to reveal. The love she felt for him, as deep as it was, could not be the reason she continued to be chained to the past. Megan knew that the greatest challenge now would be to free herself from the chains he had left, and that wouldn't mean forgetting, but learning to live without that weight. That afternoon, Megan went again to the dock where she and Zachary used to spend hours talking, planning the future that would never come. The place was filled with memories, but also with a deep sense of tranquility. She looked at the horizon, and for the first time, she didn't feel Zachary's presence beside her. The feeling was strange, but also liberating. She knew he would always be in her heart, but she no longer needed the weight of guilt or doubt about his choices. Megan didn't know if she could ever fully forgive him, but now she understood that forgiveness wasn't for him. Forgiveness was for herself. She needed to forgive herself for being blind to what was happening, for not seeing what Zachary had been trying to hide from everyone, including her. She needed to forgive herself for allowing the love they shared to become such a massive shadow in her life. The last sigh of Zachary's love could no longer be an anchor that forced her to live in pain. He had said goodbye, but she was still alive, and her life could not be defined solely by what he did or didn't do. Megan finally stood up, taking a deep breath. She was ready to move on. The wind had shifted, and the feeling of renewal began to take hold of Megan. She didn't know what the future held for her, but she knew the time to move forward had come. The love she had for Zachary was now just a part of her story, and though that part was painful, it would not define who she would become. In the following months, Megan dedicated herself to herself. She began traveling, something she had always wanted to do but never had the courage to pursue while she was with Zachary. She visited cities he had loved, but in a new way, without the shadow of her loss. She made new friends, reconnected with old ones, and slowly but surely, rebuilt her life with confidence. One quiet afternoon, while walking through the streets of Seattle, Megan sat down at a cafe she used to frequent with Zachary. She smiled now, no longer with the pain of the past, but with the joy of the present. The memory of him was still there, but it no longer consumed her. She knew he would always be a part of her, but life was ahead of her, full of new possibilities. She no longer needed to live for the ghosts of the past. Megan was ready to embrace what the future had to offer. Zachary's love hadn't died. It had transformed. And now, Megan was free to write the next chapter of her life. She had found peace, the true peace that only comes when we free ourselves from the chains of the past. Megan's journey was just beginning, and she knew that this time she could walk alone, but with the strength of a love that, despite everything, had never left her. Wow! Have you ever imagined what you would do if you discovered such a deep truth about the love of your life? Megan made a decision that changed everything, but what would you do if you were in her shoes? Comment below what you think about her choice and share this video with your friends, because this story has so much more to offer. If you enjoyed this journey of love, secrets and twists, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to follow more emotional stories like this. Turn on the bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming videos. Megan's journey is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. See you in the next video, with more mysteries, more love, and more stories that will touch your heart.